So welcome to session 2 of our Cultivating Contentment series. I'm really enjoying researching all of this. So the idea is a deep dive into the science of satisfaction and to build some new neural pathways and uncover some simple home practices to savour the richness of our existing lives. And there we have all the designer shoes that I've bought that momentarily brought me satisfaction and then didn't. They're all secondhand, but still. And I've kind of made this the quote of the series: "My life is one long escape from myself," and this is Samuel Johnson, an 18th century poet. So a reminder that this modern way of living and being distracted and trying to escape from ourselves and the lives that we have is it seems to be fairly intrinsic to being a human being. But currently we live in the safest, healthiest, most well-educated and most democratic era in history. And there is an intrinsic aspect of our psyche that compels us to seek an escape from the constant stirrings within us. And the underlying reason for our perpetual restlessness and dissatisfaction is that we're hardwired for survival and not happiness and not contentment. And this is important. It's important for us to hold in mind when we are feeling unsatisfied and we are feeling ungrateful, even though we have everything we need at our fingertips for our well-being and our survival. So what we're working on is our baseline level of contentment, and rather than constantly sensation seeking or avoiding sensations to find new sources of happiness, where we're constantly focusing on positive or negative changes in life, circumstances, we're bringing our attention to appreciating the simple joys of everyday life. So we're kind of looking at more the neutral element of our lives, which we've explored in more detail in other series, but we're kind of hardwired to look for positives and negatives, and we miss the rather kind of dull but actually extraordinariness of everyday life, that most activities that we engage in, most interactions pass us by without us giving a second thought to it, or the things that we can do that we take for granted until we can't do them anymore. So to begin with, we've been looking at the psychological components of satisfaction, and last week we looked at boredom and negativity bias. We've got rumination in there, which is our tendency to keep thinking about bad experiences. And then today we're going to be exploring hedonic adaptation. So this is the phenomenon where we get used to new circumstances, both positive and negative, and their initial emotional response diminishes over time. So we kind of become numb to experiences. So for example, the shoes, when I get these new pair of shoes, I'm really excited, I really love them, they're really beautiful, they make me really, really happy, and then I get bored of them. I don't have that same reaction to those items. It's not permanent. So sensation seeking behaviours, this is a tendency to seek out novel, thrilling and exciting experiences. So this is influenced, as a lot of our behaviours are, by genetics, environment and psychological factors, including personality traits, brain chemistry and life experiences. So you may have engaged in sensation-seeking behaviours at one point in your life, and you may not now. So it's not static. But as children, for example, we are constantly seeking sensations because this helps our brain to develop. So young children need to throw themselves around, they need to bang their bodies, they need to fall, and this all creates pathways to the brain. And I mean that's a whole other story that I could go into with some of the issues that children are experiencing these days. but it's adventure seeking, novelty seeking, risk taking, social thrills, and sensory stimulation. So, where we're pursuing activities that give us intense sensory experiences, things like listening to loud music, going on roller coasters, jumping out of aeroplanes, drinking too much, eating too much, like being constantly around people. So this is an example of where we sensation seek to look for fulfillment. And then the other extreme of that is sensory avoidance, where we avoid or withdraw from experiences that are overwhelming, uncomfortable, or aversive in terms of sensory input. And we may flit between the two, but what we're kind of working towards is that kind of happy medium where we're aware of perhaps moments where we're avoiding certain experiences, such as strong smells, textures, avoiding anything unfamiliar, avoiding bright lights, visual stimulus, loud or noisy environments, looking to reduce our feelings of discomfort and stress. So it's a dance. Our sensory experiences are a dance. Sometimes we seek them and sometimes we avoid them. And if we're too much in one realm or the other, this is where life can become really challenging for us. Both can be coping mechanisms used by individuals to regulate their sensory experiences and manage feelings of overwhelm or distress. However, excessive or rigid sensation seeking or avoidance can impact daily functioning and quality of life, limiting opportunities for social engagement, exploration, and personal growth. You're normal either way, and these are some of the things that we can do to help ourselves around this. So we're exploring hedonic adaptation. So this is that this is a sensation-seeking behaviour, but then it also moves it into a kind of into the sensory avoidance, where we're experiencing extreme pleasure from an item, and then on the other hand, a kind of it's neutral to us. We don't even notice it. So we're going to look at the neutral side of our sensations. Oh, let's stop the share there. Okay. So those slides will be available to you to have a little read through and look through in more detail. If any of those have kind of jumped out for you, something to explore over the week ahead. And there's nothing wrong with either side of these behaviours if they're not getting in the way of your being able to live your life. It's normal to flip between two. We avoid stuff and we search and seek out sensations, but they can become habits and tendencies. And we'll have a little bit more look around boundaries and anxiety around those two a bit later on. Okay. So let's look at hedonic adaptation in a meditation. So settling yourself in, having a sense of arrival. My bell's slightly different this week. So having a sense of taking your seat. Nowhere to go, nowhere to be, but here with ourselves, observing our sensations. So let's begin by bringing our attention to our breath and breathing into the count of 4 and breathing out to the count of 6. And then you can increase that out breath to 7 or 8, or you can reduce it down to 5 or 4.5. And then returning your breath to its natural rhythm, finding a comfortable and easy, fluid breath. And now an invitation to expand your awareness from the breath to include all of your body. So having a sense of you breathing in your body. And let's just begin by bringing our awareness to the points of contact that we're making with the earth, with the floor. Pressure. Can you notice any pressure? Perhaps noticing if your hands are in your lap or wherever they're resting. Where those points of contact begin and end. And can you notice the contact of your clothes against your skin? So perhaps scanning around your body. So we turn up the volume of the sensations that we can notice in our body. That go unnoticed, ignored. Are there any distracting sensations here with your clothes? Any labels that are irritating? Any edges that are digging in that you've been ignoring? These small, minor irritations. That maybe you push away and have ignored. Is there anything really comfortable and cozy and soft? The textures. Exploring each item of clothing that you're wearing. Socks, underwear, trousers, skirts, jumpers, t-shirts, jewellery. The choices you've made. And now an invitation to bring your awareness to the contact of the air against your skin. Which bits of your body are on display to the air? Coolness, warmth. So breathe, breeze even. Is the air still? You perhaps explore that felt sensation of where you begin and where you end. That there's maybe a sense of warmth coming from your body. Your boundaries, your edges, your limits. To explore the ordinary and quite how extraordinary it is to be sat here with these bodies in this moment, living and breathing. And an invitation to check in with your posture and to observe the sensations, perhaps adjusting if you've slumped or sunk into yourself, elongating your spine. Noticing the sensations of your body. The feeling of the ground beneath you, clothes against your skin, if you're the air around you, gently touching you, barely noticeable. Perhaps a little bit easier around the nose. Some clearer movements here. Now we're going to just quickly step back into our prefrontal cortexes. I want you to think of something that brings you joy, an object, a favourite cup, a painting, a piece of clothing, a pen. Allow yourself to be fully immersed in this feeling of joy towards this object, savouring each moment. What is it to feel joyful about something, an object? Something that you've attached meaning to. This object that could be lost, damaged, stolen, go missing, disappear. Impermanent. Perhaps is something that we often take for granted. And now an invitation to bring into your mind's eye something functional. It's not very beautiful, not very aesthetically pleasing. Perhaps it doesn't bring you immense joy every time you see it. I don't know, a spoon or a plate, a washing machine. Being playful and curious, just perhaps something that you use every day that you barely think about. A useful object that doesn't get a second thought. What are you noticing in your body as you hold this object in your mind's eye? And it could be broken or lost, maybe not even missed. It's not a moment to criticize or judge yourself, just noticing what it is to be a human being. Observing sensations in our bodies as we think about an inanimate object that we use that doesn't take up much space in our prefrontal cortex. Sort of neutral, unexciting. Now bringing your awareness back to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. I want you to bring into your mind's eye something that you're looking forward to buying, or somewhere you're looking forward to going, or something you're looking forward to eating. experience that awaits you. Checking in with your posture, checking in with your breath. What are the sensations that you notice in your body? The excitement, the anticipation, perhaps a bit of nervousness. What are they in the body? What does the body experience of these feelings, of these sensations? Being interested and curious as to what it is to be you in this moment. Nothing to change, nothing to fix, simply being with ourselves and noticing the sensations. And now an invitation to narrow your awareness back to your breath. Breathing in and breathing out. And then expanding your awareness from the breath to include all of your body. Breathing in and breathing out. This body that houses all of these stories. Our stories. How we want to cling on to some experiences and push others away. And that in learning to anchor in the present moment and notice some of the simple sensations within our bodies from some of the simple experiences that we have, that we can activate our parasympathetic nervous systems, take care of our own health and well-being, the ripple effect that this has on our communities. Breathing in and breathing out and noticing. What we cling to, what we push away. Just resting in stillness for a few moments longer. And close the practice with a poem. The Most Important Thing by Julia Fehrenbacher. I am making a home inside myself, a shelter of kindness where everything is forgiven, everything allowed, a quiet patch of sunlight to stretch out without hurry, where all that has been banished and buried is welcomed, spoke, listened to, released. A fiercely friendly place I can claim as my very own. I am throwing arms open to the whole of myself, especially the dearly fault-finding, falling apart, unfinished parts, knowing every seed and weed, every drop of rain has made the soil richer. I will light a candle, pour a hot cup of tea, gather around the warmth of my own blazing fire. I will howl, if I want to, knowing this flame can burn through any perceived problem, any prescribed perfectionism, any lying limitation, every heavy thing. I am making a home inside myself where grace blooms in the grand and glorious abundance, a shelter of kindness that grows all the truest things. I whisper hallelujah to the friendly sky. Watch now as I burst into blossom. I'm moving and stretching, listening to some of the things you probably ignored in that meditation. Your body was asking you to do. Adjust the pieces of clothing that are rubbing. Let's move into taking a cup of tea, a hot cup of tea. And one of the reasons that I was inspired to look at satisfaction and contentment is that the need to save some money. So as part of that, I'm using up old teas. Everybody always buys me tea. To use up what I have. I'm having some jasmine tea. Not particularly fine, not particularly delicate, fairly ordinary. The smells, the shapes, the colours, the textures, the stories. I'm going to press pause. Those of you practicing in your own time, an invitation to have to journal or simply reflect on your experience of that practice. Some of the ordinary experiences we go through within our lives and our attachment or lack of attachment to objects. So let's have a look at having practice for this week. You've got a quick glance at this. So last week there was boredom and negativity bias. You're welcome to continue with those. In terms of hedonic adaptation, I want you to bring your attention to the sensory experience of an activity that you do on autopilot. So brushing your teeth, going to the toilet, having a shower, activities that you do every day that you don't think about. So bringing your awareness to your sensory experience. So kind of a brief body scan. It can be as simple as head, shoulders, knees and toes of what sensations you can notice in your body: textures, colours, shapes, movements, temperatures, pressure, tightness, softness, using kind of sensory labels to your experience and noticing. And all of this is linked with high levels of contentment and satisfaction, because we can check in with our bodies and what's going on and make necessary adjustments if needed. It's not about changing anything, it's about being with ourselves as we are. But when we do that, we notice the things that we're doing that may not be taking the best care of ourselves. And you can reduce your input if necessary, or increase your input if necessary. So in relation to the breath, where we're extending the out breath, if we're feeling particularly low in mood, it can be helpful to increase the inhalation. So if you're feeling like you have lacking in motivation, you can also increase your stress hormones by increasing the in breath and shortening the out breath. I don't often teach that because it doesn't tend to be something that people are looking for, but if you are ever experiencing that, then knowing that you can play with that breath. So you can activate your parasympathetic nervous system by extending the out breath, and you can activate your sympathetic nervous system by extending your in breath. So those low motivation days, something for you to hold in mind. But let's close with our bog standard and the bread and butter of these practices, which is the 3-part breathing space. So bringing your awareness to the contact that you're making with the earth. The fabric of your clothes against your skin, the air against your skin, your posture. And then narrowing your awareness to your breath, breathing in and breathing out. And then expanding your awareness to include all of your body. And as best you can, taking this sense of connection and awareness into whatever you have left to do with your day. Thank you so much for joining me. We'll have a deeper dive into that meditation practice next week. So watch this space. If anything comes up for you within the practices, please do reach out. But hopefully that was a lighter exploration today.